Okay, we're now online and it's 5:02. We're a little bit late. This is a meeting called specifically for executive session for two purposes. One, to discuss a personnel concern, and also to discuss negotiations on the public safety building. So we need a motion to go into
I make a motion, we
session.
go into executive session for a personnel issue.
Second.
Okay, and the other one too, we'll wait till this is over.
We'll wait till this is over.
Okay, well, we'll take them in two separate sections, okay? So that being the case, we are now in executive
Shouldn't
session.
we vote on it?
But we should vote on it. Yes, we should. All those in favor of entering into executive session, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Are there any opposed? We are now in executive session and I will shut the,
Executive session.
okay, so here we are, and let these people into the meeting
Okay.
here. Since I don't have a capable administrator that's gonna do it. Good evening, JP.
Give me a minute.
There he is. Okay. Is that Joe?
Good evening, Joe. Are you on?
Are the police coming into Mary?
I have
I think so.
Okay.
I didn't set this up, so I'm not really sure, but I'm assuming.
Are the police coming in also?
Yes, I invited the chiefs of both departments to talk about negotiations on the project. That's the premature disclosure of which would put the town at a disadvantage, so. JP and Joe, I'm sorry, Joe, that I didn't recognize your number. We had a personnel matter that we discussed, and I'll inform you about that following or in the next executive session, if that's all right.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Thanks, Joe. Let it be noted that we came out of the first executive session at 5:26. And the next part of the executive session
More over here.
will be with the fire chiefs and the police chiefs concerning negotiations on the new public safety building. Premature disclosure of which would put the town and other bidders at a disadvantage. So we're in open session right now.
Is JP on?
Yes, JP's on.
Yeah.
And we have 5 select board members, 4 of which are in the room, and Joe DiNardo joins us on the Zoom call. John Paul Faignant, the clerk of the works on the project, also will join us the executive session. That is, if a motion is made that we do that. Are we going into executive session for this or not?
I move we go into executive session
For the purposes I stated?
for the purposes Don stated.
Second.
Second to that motion.
Well, I continue to express some reservations because I think we need to go out to the citizens of town first and explain what's going on, explain the process going forward. And I keep sensing that we're rushing into some kind of a deal, but we don't really know where we are. So I respect the fact that you don't want to tip your hand. That's one of the reasons you can go into executive session, but we're leaving the townspeople behind and we need them with us going forward.
I think when we come out of this, Mary, that we should in fact inform the public of where we're at that point.
And I agree with you as well, Mary.
Oh,
Just timing, that's all.
well,
It's how many days.
it's a little more than that, but
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have something to tell the people at town meeting when we have a lot more of them there. And obviously we'd have the Rutland Herald there as well. Is there any further discussion on?
And
the
we have the
motion?
2 chiefs up here.
We haven't voted yet, Sharon.
Sorry.
Any more discussion on the motion to go into executive session? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
No. We are now in executive session and I
Okay.
will,
So I'm going to request that the fire
Just,
chief and the police chief come up here.
the chiefs. Yes, now we're out of executive session at 5:59 and we have had a very healthy discussion in executive session about the project and
Move we recess for 1 minute.
and there's a motion to recess and we will be in recess and we will convene our regular meeting very shortly. Stay tuned, folks. And let me just pause this again.
Bring JP in to do his part.
What? JP's on with us. Everybody's in. Okay, welcome everyone. We have recessed our meeting following an executive session that we just had on the fire department and the police department chiefs about negotiations on the public safety building. And now we're starting our regular
I'm
meeting,
going to do the
regular meeting of February 28th. And this will be our last meeting before town meeting and before our reorganization meeting. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, we will start our formal meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Sharon, did you see the,
No,
Did I what? Yes.
yes, when we start the formal meeting,
Okay.
I'll give you a high sign.
Okay.
no, you've got them, the orders.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
The orders have all been signed, waiting for your signature, Joe. They're on your desk. First order of business will be the approval of the minutes. Minutes of February 14th.
Move to accept.
Motion's been made to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion's been seconded. Any discussion, additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes of February 14th? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Someone stole my pen. Well, this is ridiculous. My gold pen.
Did I steal it? No.
I don't know. Can't sign orders with a pen. There it is.
I did steal it.
There will be a penalty for that at some point. And while these minutes are being signed, let me take the opportunity to read a letter from the Foley Cancer Center. Dear friends, thank you for your recent contribution to the Foley Cancer Center at Rutland Regional Medical Center. We truly appreciate your thoughtful generosity. Your donation enables the Foley Cancer Center to continue to grow and help in our community, providing direct support to cancer patients, including access to a variety of complementary therapies and critical educational support throughout their treatment. With your generous contribution, the Foley Cancer Center will continue to provide the full breadth of services and cancer care, which is so very important to our patients and their families. Thank you again for your support. Yours truly, Alan D. Eisman, MD, Medical Director, Foley Cancer Center. With a personal note attached. Thank you for your support. You make this a great place to work and live. Regards, Alan Eisman. It's very nice. Okay, the minutes have been signed. Keep myself straight here. And are there any announcements from board members? Hearing none, I have an announcement to make. Just please bear with me. I hope I don't get too emotional with this because as you can see in your packet, there's a letter of application for the tax collector position, which I have submitted to the board. And although it's not an assumption of anything, it's really basically a request to be able to transition from this office, which I am in right now, sitting here with a group of people that I really do have a lot of respect for and whom I enjoy meeting with every single time that we do meet. I have loved this job over 40 years, but I have learned from watching friends from both parties who stayed on just too long that you have to come to a realization of when it's time to go. I think I've reached that particular thing for a lot of reasons, and I don't want to go into a lot. I've had some medical problems and I've survived them, fortunately for me. But I need to do a job that is a little bit less stressful than this one here, because even though I enjoy it, it's a lot of work. We've had a lot of challenges, and we're going to have some more this coming year. We've got a lot ahead of us, and I'm always optimistic at whatever I do, and I'm hopeful that the board will support me in letting me transition. I don't know why Bill put that in your packet, but I guess it was just out of courtesy to let you know the incompatible positions.
That came up earlier, so that.
Yeah, well, it is. Bill wanted to let you know, and I do let you know, and I'd and make this a public announcement as well, that if I am successful in being able to continue to serve the town in some capacity, that I will have to resign my position on the select board. And I'm not a quitter, so I don't really relish doing that, but it is time. And I want to thank this board, not only for your support in allowing me to be chairman for this year. I've enjoyed it tremendously. But also for your camaraderie and for your hearty discussion and disagreement at times. It would be a wonderful thing if we all agreed on everything in life, but that's not the way it happens. But I don't take that as any loss of respect for any of the members of this board. They're all hardworking people, and I appreciate being able and having been able to work with you. And I just want to thank you. I will not be, this is the last meeting before our organizational meeting. And I just want to let you all, you board members and the general public as well, know that I will not be seeking, nor would I accept any nominations as chair, and that I would support any member of this board that the board chooses to elect as chair of this board. And again, thank you. It has been a wonderful and very rewarding
Don't you dare.
opportunity to serve you in this capacity. And thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. Don.
Thank you for your service, Don.
Don.
You've spent a lot of years between recreation and the board, and I think we've had some hearty discussions ourselves over the phone. So, and two Italians, when they argue, can really argue. Of course, I'm right and you're not, but that's.
Well, you always thought that. And sometimes you were right.
But
not.
thank you for your service.
Anyways. Yeah, we, with the board's permission, before we enter into, well, let me ask, are there any other announcements from board members, or are there any individuals here or online that wish to address the board that are not on the agenda? Hearing none, with the board's permission, I would like to suspend the regular order of business and, or we're not, actually, add an order of business. I'd like to bring up a discussion because all the members are here, from the fire department and the police department and our clerk of the works.
Can I ask that the chiefs come back up here again? Please.
Two chiefs
Yep.
come to the table. I guess what I'd like to do in order to make this parliamentarily correct is, if the board has no objections, go to new business C, any other business, which is not on the agenda. Is there any disagreement on the board to this? Then we would go to any other new business. And do you have a motion, Sharon?
Yeah, we are going to be discussing the firehouse, and the new police station. And, we were in executive session. We decided to come out because we felt you, the people, should know. So I am making a motion, that I, as a board member, support the new fire station, police station, where it sits. And we have John Paul and Joey DiNardo who can better explain it. So I ask that any other member that does support it, speak up. And even those that don't, I understand your questioning, and I respect that.
And can I ask for a clarification of the motion?
Sure. Oh,
Okay, is this to
that we support.
the select board supports the proposal to build the combined fire police
Right.
public safety building up on McKinley Avenue?
Agree.
Okay, gotcha.
Motion, the motion
I'll
has been made.
second that.
Excuse me, the motion has been made and seconded, that the board, continue to support the building of the, public safety building on the McKinley Avenue site as proposed and laid out in the plans presented to the public when they approved it. Is there any further discussion? Any discussion on this motion? I would engender hearty discussion. JP?
Well, don't you have to call a roll call?
Hi, good
Well,
evening.
We gotta.
No, we're
discuss it
in
first.
discussion.
Oh, okay.
That's when we're gonna cover all the information.
So as you know, about 18 months ago, the board embarked on a journey to replace McKinley Station and provide adequate workspace for our police department, which is sorely lacking at this time. We went to the best architects in the city, and they took a look around and they saw that most recently a public safety building similar to what we're looking at was constructed at $250 a square foot. Recognizing that we were dealing with pandemic supply issues still and significant increased labor costs, our professionals put together this project at an estimate of $400 a square foot, $150 a square foot more than a facility had just completed construction for. We went out to bid and learned that the economy is in a lot worse shape than we thought, because the lowest bid has come in around $575 a square foot. And so we're approximately $1.2 million short of what the voters had authorized for this project. However, we do have the comfort of knowing that the sharpest pencils were applied to get this number, and we have some good information that we will be able to have some incremental savings, some cost engineering savings in the $1.2 million deficit. For example, we do not need bulletproof walls in the police department, and that can be cut without with a substantial savings. There are smaller savings throughout the project that can be marshaled, but the truth of the matter is we're 1.2 million over. We're never going to be able to get this type of structure engineered to these specifications at this cost again. And there's no question that the site is a Chevrolet, but I'm kind of proud to, when I was on the board, you know I was cheap, but listen, that's the site we owned. We didn't have to spend any taxpayer money to acquire it. It's not a Cadillac site, but it is a Chevrolet site, and it will accommodate this structure. And what's important about that is the savings to the Rutland Town taxpayers. Yes, we're surprised by the fact that we're going to have to pay $575 a square foot for a facility like that, but we're not alone. Every single project that's out there is bidding between $560 and $590 a square foot. That's just the reality of 2023. So faced with those realities, the question is, how do we go forward? Not whether we go forward. And the thought of starting over again, the thought of land acquisition costs, of any associated soft costs, would increase this project hundreds of thousands of dollars. It could even increase it more than $1 million. And to do so would be irresponsible just because someone might be dissatisfied with a Chevrolet site. The fact of the matter is, we've been at that site for many, many years. It's a great location to respond from. The state police chose that site for themselves, right just down the hill, for their barracks, because they recognize that it's a great place to respond to, instant access almost to Route 7. So where we are now is we need, and I'm requesting that the board approve this project and recommend to the voters that they allow us to bond for any supplemental funding that we may need in order to make this project go. The time is now. The project will never be any cheaper. We avoid land acquisition costs, and more importantly, we provide our first responders with a decent facility they can operate from instead of a shoebox. And so I'm asking the board, as your clerk of the works, to approve this project as bid, recognizing the conversations that were had in executive session, recognizing that we will have some savings, but that we need to get to the voters as soon as we can with this information and your recommendation to go forward. Now, I've heard some conversations about people complaining about this site and wanting to locate to another site. Kurt Hathaway and I had a conversation, and he was advocating that the Thomas property on Post Road might be available. But Kurt himself acknowledged that the additional delay is sure to increase the cost of the project. We know that this engineered building with the water tank in the ground is functioning in several other departments in Vermont because of the water issue in Vermont. And a lot of these departments can't produce a lot of water from their wells. So they need the storage tank. But so we know it works. This is the skinniest proposal that we can present to the voters. And I'm asking the board to take a vote tonight to approve this project and recommend it to the voters.
Thank you, JP. I'd like Joey, you have some numbers, you put them together pretty capably. Could you go over those for us?
Okay, I can do that. So back last year, we had gone to the voters and with the proposal on the building, assuming the cost of the building to be around 4.2 million. And we asked the voters to approve $771,000 from the capital improvement fund and the funds from ARPA. I believe they're approximately 1.1 or 1.2 million. And all of these funds are available for this building. And looking at what we have for a shortfall, we're approximately $1.2 million short. And I have done some calculations, and I've talked with town treasurer Kari Clerk, and at this current time, there is approximately $550,000 in the capital improvement fund that is not earmarked for any projects. Also, we were informed last week by our treasurer that we have already met the anticipated 1% tax money for this current fiscal year with 3 payments. So it is potentially possible and pretty likely that there will be a 4th payment, and that payment, they usually run between $300,000 and $400,000. If we were to combine these 2 amounts, it would give us approximately $900,000 in that capital improvement funds that we would have to ask the voters. You know, we asked them for a sum not to exceed, and this would be the amount, which realistically would show the shortfall to be approximately $300,000, which is a very, I believe, a doable amount. There are some grants that our police department has been working on. Some of those are equipment grants that will drop some of the costs for the building and some of the infrastructure of that building, but we have to be careful not to mix some of this stuff up. What I see is moving forward with the building where it is and continuing on. Once we have these numbers, I think, you know, realistically, we would have to ask, again, the voters to approve an additional amount from the capital improvement fund. And the amount we had agreed upon was approximately $2.1 million to go to bond. That amount could be maybe only 300,000 more, or it may not be that much once we figure out what we actually have from some of the grants. So I think that anybody that has bought anything from a vehicle to land, prices rarely go down. And, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about the current site and its safety and something. And I've been a member of the fire department for 50 years. And I'll admit the last 5 years, not as active as I should be, but in the entire time that I have been there, there have been no, to the best of my knowledge, no fire truck and anyone from the public interacting in a vehicle accident, leaving that building and entering onto Route 7. It is, I know there's a narrow bridge by Danny Hindy's garage, but that has been adequate for the trucks. We have never had any real close calls there or any serious problems. There has been some discussion about going to Post Road and maybe talking to one of the electric companies, either GMP or Velco, about land and looking for donations, which all of this stuff is great. But at this point in time, you're talking a year or more delay in this project, and it'll just get wicked expensive. And I want everybody to remember that during Irene, there was 5 or 6 feet of water at the intersection of Post Road and Route 7. And any apparatus that was stationed on Post Road would not be able to get anywhere except for the Post Road location during that event. The Meadow Lake Drive Bridge was closed due to the water going under it down East Creek and the problems there. So when our select board picked this spot in 1967 to build this building and do it there and build the one in Center Rutland, they were thinking pretty carefully about the layout of the town and how it was done. So, and in my time as a fireman, I have seen that intersection of Post Road and Route 7 underwater 3 or 4 times from flooding there, which means any apparatus station there would have to go up Post Road, possibly down Meadow Lake Drive if the bridge is open, or down Route 4 through Mendon or Post Road to get to locations. So I'm not real convinced that moving this station or moving the apparatus is the best way to go. I think we've put a lot of effort, a lot of time into this building. And yes, the site is smaller than anybody would really like. You want plenty of acres, but we have operated out of there for years and years and years. There's been some discussion about a great big building with drive-through apparatus base, and all that does is waste space because you got doors on both ends. It increases heating costs. We have been able to back the trucks in and put them where they go. 90% or more of the fire stations in the country are back-in fire stations. There's very few with drive-through bays. They're a great idea, but they're not a necessity, and they do create problems because the space behind the trucks is no longer available for anything other than airspace. You can't do anything because the trucks, have to go in and out that way. So I think as designed, as planned, and as presented to the voters, this is the best direction to go, and we need to continue down this road. It's going to be the most cost-effective building on a pretty good site. And any of the obstacles with some of the shortcomings have been worked out, and I trust our design team with NBS and everybody else to give us a good product. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Joey.
Joe. Other discussion from board?
I would like to ask JP a couple of things. We had a motion as we came out of our meeting last week, I believe. And I'm trying to be careful about this. Are there cost savings that might be able to be realized as construction is underway?
Yes, there are. I'm not real clear on I do know that the bulletproof walls is a substantial savings, and I'm hopeful that there's probably another 50 to 75,000 that might be realized in a cost engineering approach. I don't know, Mary. I do know for sure that the bulletproof walls is a substantial saving. I think it's close to $70,000-$80,000. But yes, and both the general contractor, who was the lowest bidder, and our architect are pledged to working towards that goal.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to support the motion because I know we need a new fire station, and I've seen how cramped the police quarters are. I am cautious about tying up. I think Joe did a very good explanation of what our money situation is, and we do have a couple of pots of money that we can tap. And I'm mindful that the town will have other needs, capital construction needs in the future. If we put this off, those other needs are going to come up maybe at the same time. And we need to get this done now so we free up the town's ability to bond for future things that will, we know, be coming toward us. We will have to go out to the voters, and I know we're going to have a discussion about this at the town meeting Monday night. So the voters will be aware of what we're thinking. We're not obviously going to be voting on it at town meeting on Tuesday, but we will have to have a special vote. And we're going to try and get as much education as possible out to the townspeople so they know why we're proceeding with this facility as designed. So that's my spiel.
I too support
Thank
it.
you, Mary. Sharon?
I support it. And before we even go any further, I'd like to ask the two chiefs, how are they feeling about this? Do you support this?
I do support it.
I do support it too, and I know that there's been quite a bit of expenditures already on that particular site and site work, over $100,000 is my understanding. And to throw that money away for something different, I'm not, either way, we need a police department. We're living we have 3 desks, there's 5 of us. And we just can't fit in there. I moved my office out to my home, so I do my paperwork there because I have a lot of paperwork. And that gives the officers some room to do that, because otherwise we're out here using this area out here to do paperwork too. There's also an issue as far as when we want to process somebody for a crime, it goes through your head, do I really want to take this person to the city or to the state police and try to do it there? And then I got to impose on them to babysit my person while I have to do an affidavit to put this person in jail if that ever happens. It's difficult where we are right now. We're doing it, but we're not doing the service that we could do if we had our own place to do business. That's the reality of the whole situation. Especially when we're dealing with interviews, keeping your victims separated from the offenders and giving it a nice professional place to do your work. And I don't bring anybody here to do paper. There's no place for me to sit, maybe here if nobody's here. It's like working in the city hall years ago when I worked there. So we were downstairs in the city hall, and it was just difficult to do our job. And as soon as we went across the road, it made things much better. That's my spiel. Thanks for listening to me.
Chris?
Again, I know we've spent close to $136,000 on what we've done so far. The fire station is, it's in bad shape. It's too small. It's served its purpose for the last 55 years. But it's time. It's time to move on, upgrade, and
Well, it's time and the service that both of you can give to the people of the town, you can give better in a facility that you don't have to find a closet to work in.
One other thing is Deputy Chief Ted Washburn has spent countless hours, probably at least two solid weeks of work and just writing grants for this building. And if we put it to voters and they tell us no, okay, well, we done what we could at that point in time. But he has sacrificed a lot of time. When he's doing that, that means the rest of us have to answer the calls and do things so he can concentrate on trying to save the town in excess of probably close to over $500,000 if he gets all the grants that come in. One has already come in for 158. And I think he's written 2 or 3 more after that. So, and we have to tell the feds at some point in time, yes or no, because we can't leave them in limbo either. We have to have a decision whether the townspeople tell us no or yes, then we can let the feds know. So in the future, if we want to get grants, we don't want to have look bad in the sights of the federal government saying, well, those guys they don't have their stuff together. Let's just hold off and get to somebody else that's a little more sure. We want to be upfront with them and honest so that we can do the right thing.
Kurt?
Well, I guess this is where I roll and be the bad guy. I'm not opposed to a fire and a police station. We need them. We really need a police station for sure. 100%. Our fire station needs upgrading. We all know that. That's writing on the wall. I can't get over putting a Cadillac building on a Chevrolet site. And I just cannot get past it. I can't. And, it gets down to safety concerns coming off McKinley Avenue, which I've been in fire trucks that have had close calls coming off there. There's no traffic light to allow you to get out into traffic. There's a narrow bridge that really, when a fire truck's responding, you can't fit another vehicle on that bridge. And I've seen some not so good situations there before. There's another safety concern that comes back to bulletproof walls. You know, yeah, we're not doing bulletproof walls now, but at some point in time, we thought we needed bulletproof walls in our police department.
That's in the grant. We're trying to write a grant.
Yeah, and in today's climate, you're probably not wrong. It's disgusting to think, but our police department is shielded by fire trucks and firemen. And if somebody's going to do a drive-by shooting on our police department, our firemen are going to be standing in the way. And I'm not a fan of that. As a fireman, I'm just not a fan of that. I don't like getting shot at. I mean, Ed doesn't like getting shot at either. But I think there's a few other locations where this building, as designed, could better suit the town for a longer period of time. And that gets down to municipal water, municipal sewer, good light, traffic lights to get you onto Route 7 with Opticon technology that would turn traffic lights in our direction as we're coming off in fire trucks and police cars. You're getting crammed into a site that 75, 100 years, it's a long time to think that, you know, we're going to be able to operate with, you know, 15 parking spaces. And when a structure fire rolls in, I can tell you that's going to turn into about 6 or 8 parking spaces, because there's not a single firefighter I know that can park between the lines when something's on fire. I know I don't. And then while that's happening, we're still trying to serve the public, you know, with people citizens coming in to make complaints to our police department, or fingerprinting, or what all that could be. And I think we don't have enough room for what this building is going to be, or what we're going to grow into in the future. So I guess everybody can hate me all they want.
Nobody hates you.
But
nobody hates you.
Nobody hates you.
I cannot support it.
Well, and that's
I have nothing against the building
okay.
at all. I not kind of like the building actually, but I cannot see it there. I just cannot get past it.
I got a couple answers as far as getting on to Route 7. So we petition the state for a light. I think that's appropriate. Second of all, if fire truck is coming across the bridge and the siren's on, you better be pulling over to the side.
What did you call that, Kurt? An Opticon?
Yeah, it's
That's an automatically activated light, like the
Right.
city has on.
Right.
The cities are
Right.
siren activated. The state's upfitting the lights this
Have you
coming
ever had
summer on
any
the south
trouble,
end of
Chris?
town with Opticons.
No. Okay. Have you ever had any trouble?
All kinds of trouble,
You are trouble.
but not getting all the ridge. My
Right.
car's much smaller.
I mean, when sirens, there are people that ignore sirens. I watch it. I pull over and I watch people.
Does your car go faster than most, Ed?
No.
But as far as, you know what? I support it. I know Mary said she does. I didn't hear Don say whether he did or didn't. But I respect the fact that you have an opinion. And I think that's important. But I have to tell you, I look to our fire chief and I look to the former fire chief, Joe DiNardo, with 50 years of service, and they're telling me it's a good spot and that you need to get it done and that we've already invested. So for me, if we wait, the cost is going to go up to the people of the town. Is it going to be adequate 75 years from now? I don't think there's anybody in this room that's going to be around to know. So by that time, you know, we'll be pushing up tulips in one of the cemeteries or so. So I think we have to deal with, we are in this time slot and I think we needed to get it done. So I pass it over to you, Mr. Chioffi.
Thank you, Sharon. And, well, as I had said when I started into this position, that I don't vote unless it's to make a tie or break a tie, but I really honestly feel that it's my responsibility to vote on this particular question, because I think it's important for the town to know how each one of us feel about it. And I have said on other occasions, and I will say it again, that I've always tried to pride myself in knowing what I don't know. And we have some very competent people running this town. We, as a board, are responsible for setting the policy. But those competent directors of our departments are the ones that actually run this town. And our first responsibility, like all government leaders' responsibility, is to provide for the public safety and security of our citizens. That's what our police department does, and that's what our fire department does and has been doing. I've served on that fire department, so I know what it's like to run to a fire on a Christmas Eve when there are people in a building and smoke is coming out the windows and fire as well, and it's about 5 below zero outside. I trust the ability of the fire chiefs and the police chiefs to let us know the needs that they have in order to provide that security to our public. So I back them. They are unanimous in their need for this building and the facilities that it offers. Our police department does not want to be out of compliance with state regulations as far as safety and also reporting and the space accommodations and the security accommodations that they have in that building. It's not fair for us to let them be out of compliance. So we know we have to do something. I'd also like to point out that based on the overages that we have had in the 1% option tax, which I don't expect ever to recede, I think that they will always be there, maybe not as strong as they were last year, but I think that those funds alone can pay for any bonded indebtedness that we will incur on this facility. That's number one. And number two, and I want the public to know that this is pretty much the last big piece of infrastructure that this town needs. We will be built out as far as government infrastructure needs in this town. The rest will be in this building downstairs to get our renovations complete. And I would like to see us be responsible to our citizens and provide this last piece of infrastructure while we can afford it. Because as Joe said, I also believe that it won't get any cheaper. That's for sure. And not only that, if we wait, we will lose up to $500,000 in the grant monies, and probably no chance of getting them back either. So that adds another $500,000 to whatever cost anyone would feel would be untenable. So I do support this, and I will vote yes on the project to go forward. Thank you. Is there anything else to be said? The fire department or police department want to add anything more to the discussion?
Y'all, and you guys also agree with your chiefs?
Support the chief. I support the building 100%.
Okay.
It's also very important to note that we intend to have, I believe the board has been fairly well unanimous in this approach, that we intend to explain this at town meeting night. And we also intend to have another special meeting of the townspeople warned and advertised for people to come and have questions answered about it. And basically an informational meeting where the architectural plans will be there for the people to see, and the chiefs can be there to explain what the needs are and how they will be fulfilled by this project. So and that will be held as shortly as possible within warning time. And that then we would have a special meeting. And it has been my recommendation, and I believe Joe made that comment, didn't you, Joe, I think it was at our last meeting, that if and when we hold a special meeting for this, that we mail ballots so that every voting citizen in the town of Rutland has an opportunity to weigh in
That's a good
with their approval or disapproval for this project, because something as valuable as this to a town should have as much support as it can get. And the decision should be made by the largest number of people. That's what a good democracy is. And we know we get good response. We found that out during COVID when we did the mailed ballots then.
Don, you're the biggest anti-mailing ballot guy.
Well, I
know.
was for COVID. Yes.
Yeah, so
I didn't think it would
I
be.
think there's big concern if we're going to send out ballots to everybody, if we aren't going to continue to follow that practice on every March election.
I
think it
probably
sets
wouldn't-
a precedence if we're going to send out special election ballots, but we aren't going to send out town meeting day
Well,
ballots.
Okay, well,
Guys, let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not
If
doing
we
ballot
can't do
harvesting.
that, then we won't do that. Yeah,
Right.
that's a
So
different
let's table
discussion.
that.
Just a point I wanted to bring up to that.
Yep. Well taken.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Anyone have any discussion, any further discussion? Any new discussion on the motion on the floor? Motion is to support the building of to support the public safety building as proposed and presented to the taxpayers on the McKinley Avenue site.
And to approve VMS as the contractor, subject to voter approval. You need that in there.
Yes,
VMS was the low bidder, correct?
Yes, they were.
Yes.
And they're also the one that we talked about in executive session.
yes, and VMS was the apparent low bidder, and that would be approval of them as the contractor on the project.
Can we do that in two separate motions?
We can do it in a wrap up, I guess. Same thing, we're approving the building and we're also approving the contractor, the low bidder on the project.
I don't want.
If that's that,
I don't want to be opposed to the low
oh,
bidder,
that's
but
if the maker of the motion agrees to that.
I agree.
Okay, so
the
it's a
seconder.
three-part motion, right? One is that we proceed with the building as designed with the price tag. The second is to approve VMS as the low bidder. And the third is to make that VMS bids or VMS approvals subject to voter approval, because we do have to go back to the voters. Right? Got all three parts?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Does the seconder of the motion agree?
That
to
would
those
be me,
changes?
since I just stated them all.
That's it. Very good.
Thank you,
Any
Mary.
further discussion? Oh, it's always good to have a lawyer on your board.
I'm going to quote you a lot on that, Don.
I would hope you do. JP's smiling. I can see that. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
opposed.
The motion carries. Oh, Joe, did I hear you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I said aye.
Thank you, Joe. The motion carries 4-1, and we shall proceed in that direction. Thank you very much. I have appreciated you guys
Thank you,
being
guys.
here.
The only bone of contention, Chris, is you'd look better with a Yankee hat on.
No,
I don't know about
I don't
that.
think so. No.
Well, I don't know about that. 2 demerits for Sharon.
What?
It's a
What'd
2
you say,
demerits
Joe?
for you.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Now we will proceed with our regular order of business. The very first.
I'm gonna take my leave. That with your permission, I'll take my leave. Thank you and have a good night.
And you as well, John Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you for your participation this evening. Dave Sears, our town road commissioner. Fresh off a salty, snowy day.
Has been fun. The last couple weeks, we were just kind of reorganizing the shop a little bit. We got that probably 90% done. We've been out 8 times in the last 14 days. One right after another. It's feast or famine, what it is. So with that in mind, the contractors are at number 34 at this point. And that's where
What's
we
the
are.
magic number, Dave?
43.
43. Yeah.
43 is when they get extra innings. The paving list, I've got that pretty much ready to put to bed. I got to get it to Bill. I got to make a couple more calculations and put that thing together. Got a couple of minor breakdowns, nothing major with the trucks. Glue them all back together when we get a minute and go back out and do it again. And then they're talking about more snow for Thursday and more snow for Friday and more snow for Saturday. So if you're looking for me, you know where to find me.
I'll be in the hospital putting my feet up.
I might almost envy you.
No.
There's spaces all around here for cots and sleeping bags.
Okay.
He said his mom lives in town. I offered him, we have a spare bedroom, but he said his mom.
Yeah,
I
mom
do
lives
too.
Pittsford or Pinecrest.
I'm a pretty good cook too.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Mr.
That's kind
Chair?
of what we've been doing.
Yes,
Can we go to, letter A in the packet and get that taken care of and get Dave out of here so he can go home and sleep for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I was going to suggest that when he finished, Joe, but thank you very much. That's a good suggestion.
He might have to salt
Okay,
first before
I
he
was-
gets some sleep. They're out now. Yeah, I bet they are.
Yeah, but
Getting greasy.
And I did have one question for Dave. Have you heard any more about the 2 trucks that you want to acquire from Patriot Sales and whether we might see them before they're antiques?
Yeah. So I went down there the day after our last meeting and met with them. They're still trying to figure out what they're going to do. They're going to send the Kenworth to Kenworth to be fixed, and then just everything spiraled out of control on me. So I haven't really dealt with it since.
Okay. I guess, that was a pretty good,
Like to get them.
that was yeah, I think that, with what we've been dealing with, you might appreciate having at least one of them here.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
As soon as you get a break, Dave,
I think that'll be a couple weeks from now, because next week doesn't look a whole lot better.
Yeah, that's what the Bluetooth in the truck's for. Make all your phone calls
Yeah.
and drive around.
So we have to sign certifying that we have complied with town road and bridge standards and the network inventory. Have you reviewed that?
I have, yes.
And are we in compliance?
We are.
I would move that we approve.
second,
It's a motion to approve the town road and bridge standards and network inventory for the town of Rutland. Any discussion on the motion?
So when that is signed, sealed and delivered, that goes along with the class 2 paving grant that we're applying for the East
Okay.
Pittsford Road thing. So it's kind of going to be one big giant packet to send to Brian Sanderson.
And it looks like we also have a financial plan certification we have to do,
Yes.
which says funds raised by municipal taxes are equivalent or greater than the sum of at least $300 per mile of each class 1, 2, and 3 highway. And do we meet that?
Haven't got a clue.
Joey, do we meet that?
I believe we do. I I think that, well, how many miles of road do we have?
54.
Oh. we're good.
Okay, so 300 times 54 is less than 1 point something million dollars, right?
I
Yeah.
wish we could do it for
We're
that.
good.
It's like 16 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wish we could do it.
Yeah.
For that.
So I would amend my
So
motion to include this certification of compliance and also the certification that we are spending at least $300 per mile for our roads.
you've heard the amendment to the motion. Does the seconder agree to the amended motion?
Yes.
Okay,
What
so
town
we're
doesn't
talking
spend
about two.
$300 a mile?
I don't know
Huh?
how you can.
What town doesn't spend $300 a mile?
I don't think there's any. They just
Seems
have,
just
they have to say this.
redundantly stupid.
Yeah, we're good.
It's state procedure.
That's a waste of pen ink, Don, is what that is.
You should
Have to sign that.
Probably some archaic
talk
thing
to
they did in the
a
60s.
revision of 19 VSA, section 306,
Yeah, from 1910.
section J. Any discussion on the motion as amended? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
any opposed? That's unanimous, and I will circulate them for signature right away.
Okay.
Just-
Well, we're
just for
signing
your-
one more
Just for your listening pleasure, that if you divide 54 miles into $1 million budget, it's about $18,000 a mile.
Covered.
but who's counting?
Joey, I'm gonna
Just
put
if
you
you
on
wanted to
jeopardy.
know.
You're pretty darn good.
Well, I've got a calculator here, Sharon. I didn't do that one in my head.
Last Thursday, when we had one of the wicked awful storms,
Mhm.
I had a couple of folks visit me down on Creek Road in my office, and they started the meeting by congratulating me on how nicely Rutland Town maintains its roads. They were coming from the city into the town, so
Yeah,
thank you very
what a
much.
difference.
Nice,
Yeah.
thank you.
Wow,
It's nice.
what a difference.
It was, yeah.
You come down 7 and then you hit the city and it's a whole, I have to put it in 4-wheel drive.
Hmm.
Let me tell you.
Those are in the process of being signed right now, Dave, so you'll have those. Anything further?
That's all I've got.
Good. Thanks very much. This winter has certainly been a baptism of fire for you in the
Yes.
town of Rutland.
All or nothing.
That's it.
And just off the
It's on
top of
both.
my head, no one's whispered in my ear about this. If we had to park a fire truck in the highway garage, is there room if you reconfigured things?
Are you sure nobody's whispered in your ear?
Nobody's whispered in my ear.
Yeah, Bill and I have kind of discussed that. Nobody else has really brought it up to me, but we can probably make something happen there.
Okay, thanks for thinking about
I
it.
heard you could keep a real neat garage.
Doesn't
Neat
look,
and
doesn't
tidy.
look like that right now.
My husband said he met you the other
Yeah,
day.
he stopped it.
What, just for the benefit of some of us that don't get up there all that often, what was the reorganization about?
It was just a bunch of, they had a bunch of cubby like racks. I'm not
Mhm.
things. And, there was just stuff put in them. So, I talked to Bill and we got some little plastic bins. We pulled all that stuff out, put the bins in and got everything organized. So when you need a marker light for a truck, you can go and get the marker light. You don't have to search through all this stuff to find it.
Thanks.
It's kind of organized everything a little bit.
Bill, can this just go right back in the packet? Okay. Good. Okay. Any more questions or for Dave? All right, Dave,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
get some
Thank-
sleep.
thank you.
It's on the way tomorrow
I know.
and the next day. Mike Rowe, our Recreation Commissioner. Not even hardly a limp on that.
Nope. I got the bill the other day. There better not be a limp. That wasn't cheap. Speedy recovery in your process. Right? And thank you for your time served on. Enjoy your retirement, semi-retirement. Couple things. First, we had our K2 basketball camp over February break last week. Myself and a handful of middle schoolers entertained about 20 kids in grades K1, 2, and we've been doing it for about 3 years now since COVID, because I can't get it in during the regular season because there's one gym and like 50,000 teams. So I run this camp and the kids do a really good job with that. So that was last week. That was huge. Just to report on that. Bill has put together a online, can I say it, Bill? Can I promote it right now? So Billy has come up with an online registration for that we're going to hopefully use from here on out for people that want to sign up for our activities. Now, the only drawback is that you'll still have to send in your payment, but you can do all of your registering for our sports and our activities online. We will still, do the pool at the pool because that's just the easiest way to do that. But Bill has come up with a new digital form that is currently on our website under recreation, and please check it out. Feel free to sign up because baseball signups start now. So please feel free to check that out and give it a whirl and let us know if it works for you. So hopefully we can streamline. It gathers all the information, which, like I said before, me trying to read someone else's chicken scratch is like them trying to read mine. It just doesn't work. So this will help tremendously getting accurate information. So thank you to Bill for doing that, and we'll keep you posted. Let's see. Obviously things are hopefully, doesn't look it, but eventually we're moving towards spring, and we'll get there as we get there. The only other thing I want to bring up was there's been some concern, and I've talked with Sharon, and when Sharon is a little bit healed, we will have a committee meeting. We'll bring in the chief. You're more than welcome to attend. It seems that people are taking advantage of letting their dogs off leash at Northwood. So I need to remind the public that we have a leash ordinance, which is a fine can be levied to people that do not have their dog on a leash. It is posted in multiple places in the park that your dog is to be on a leash. So this is kind of a heads up that if that behavior is not correcting itself, then we will have to look at other options, which we will take care of when Sharon gets healthy again. And we will have committee meetings and discuss where to move forward.
Just talk for a second. I think the best rule would be, because it's a municipal ticket and they're not very effective. You don't have, if you don't pay them, there's no real penalty. I think it would be best, I don't know if the ACLU would like this, or that give them a trespass notice. You can't walk your dog here for so many months. If they want to come to the board and contest.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that
We're going to talk about.
we'll talk about.
And we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
have
think
you in
that's,
on it.
yeah,
Correct. I'm just reminding people that as much as they want their dog to run free, and I'm a dog owner and my dog walks up there frequently and he is on a leash, your dog needs to be on a leash. And I'm asking the respectful owners to start to police yourselves. Otherwise, maybe that might not be an option for you in the future. So I'm pleading to the people that are off leash. Control of a dog, I understand that, but it's a dog. And if a dog wants to go, a dog's going to go, no matter how controlled your dog is. Having a dog off leash go up to a dog that's on leash, sprinting across the parking lot, is not control of a dog. And that's going to lead to other issues that we as a town do not need to deal with. So I'm pleading to people that would see this or hear this, or if it makes the paper, that Northwood Park has a leash ordinance. Put your dog on the leash. Plain and simple. My goal when I get up there is to shame people that aren't. I'm not going to have the police sitting there
but there are very few options that they're starting to present themselves. And I would hate for that option of not having them there be an option. But
Like I stopped a guy with 3 dogs up there and said, you need to have them on a leash. That's the town ordinance. And he said to me, I'm not from the town.
yeah, so when you get healthy, we will come up with a concrete plan. We'll bring it to the board. We'll have healthy discussion.
Yep.
And we will go from there.
Sounds
So just
fine.
wanted you
Yep.
all to know that and understand that that's where we're going with that. Obviously we don't have that problem at Dewey because it's like 2 feet long and people aren't walking their dogs. But anyway,
But Dewey is subject to the leash law
of
too.
course,
the
yes,
ordinance,
it is.
okay.
And there is a sign. I believe there
Okay.
are signs there as well. They're to keep the dogs off the field,
Right.
as well, which is another, which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah.
I think the ordinance states any property that's not the property of the owner, I believe is required to have
It's
a
a
leash.
broader leash.
Yeah, and the
ordinance.
other thing is, if your dog poops, scoop, because nobody likes walking in that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will kind of try to tidy that up because I want people to be able to enjoy that. But they also have to be respectful of the rules. And just so you know we'll be moving forward. If anybody talks to you, they can
Mhm.
give me a call and we'll take care of that. Other than that, I don't have anything else that I have unless you guys have something for me. So I forgot
Does
something.
anyone have any questions for Mike? Or comments?
Mm.
Mike, I just wanted to thank you. Again, I didn't get a chance and I didn't see it in the minutes, but that's neither here nor there. I've watched you and had the pleasure of working with you as someone that cared as much about that park as I do.
Great place.
I watched you in all of your reports that you've given over the years, many years. I've seen a whole mess of competence, but I never saw as much emotion from you as when you were talking about the bench and how you thought it should be integrated into the park and how it should recognize those people that had the vision to do that. I just really want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
It's not fashionable these days to wear your emotion on your lapel, but I really did appreciate that, and I thank you again for all the care you've taken and the love you've shown for that park.
Thank you. Which, Mary, we're gonna have to add to our townwide celebration because part of
A
that will be a
dedication?
dedication of a plaque, and which we will work on when Sharon gets back. As
I don't want my
as
name
part
on a
of-
plaque,
That's fine, but that will be part of
only
the
at the
townwide
cemetery.
celebration to bring
The
people.
timing should work pretty well.
It should work fantastic.
Mike,
So we got some time to iron it out, figure it all out,
We
and we'll
do.
go from there.
she can be outvoted by us.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. My name
Listen,
is not
her
going.
arm is short, but her reach is long. So just remember that.
And her,
That's all.
and her cooking is
So,
addictive.
yes, well, I don't.
Nobody
really
wants
taste
to
that
lose
lately. It never gives me anything anymore.
Thank
so.
you, Mike.
All right, you guys have a wonderful evening.
Take care, Mikey.
What are we, next Monday night,
Yes.
right? We're Monday night.
Monday
we're
night.
at school.
We are, but you are.
7:00.
Seven,
I'm
but
there,
we're
yeah.
still second, right? I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we're
we're
not,
second.
what did the school board took? a
Yes, it
half an
doesn't
hour?
flip. It doesn't flip. Yeah, they went quick. We
Yeah.
can go quick too. For the 2 people that are there, we can go quick. Because we can. Let's try to make it a mission.
No pontificating.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye, guys. Have a great evening.
See you, Mike.
Chris Clark, I don't know, are you on? I think we've heard from the chief, so I think we
Yeah.
would probably dispense with the fire chief report tonight and go directly to Marcia Chioffi, our town lister. Good evening, Marcia.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi. I've just got a couple of things. The business personal property packets have gone out to all of our clients, all of our businesses, which will be due no later than April 20th. It's a little bit different than the the real estate, which ends at April 1st. I've been engrossed in Vermont Pi and PVR, Zoom and webinars for about 2 weeks now. And between the webinars and trying to get everything done in the office, it's been a real challenge. So I have been working at home because the webinars are a lot easier to view when I'm at home without the interruptions at the office. The other thing is my locks on my cabinets have been installed today. Agnes from Royal Group, and God bless her. It was a challenge getting those locks on the file cabinets because of the way that they were constructed. And she said they're beautiful cabinets and she appreciates the way they were constructed, but the locks were very, very difficult to put into the cabinets. Let's see. The other thing is, well, no, I guess that's about it. You know, we're plugging along, and I can honestly say that I really, really need somebody as soon as possible.
Would in that regard, for the board, shouldn't we be as proactive with that as we were with the tax collector thing and try to get the ads out there in the paper, get some ads out there in the paper? Because we know we need the help. You know, we're anticipating a resignation coming in March, but whether it comes or not, we still need the help. So shouldn't we advertise for it? Either in someone with assessor lister desires.
We don't have a vacancy yet, but
Right.
if you're asking whether
To hire an assistant.
whether we should hire an assistant, I think that's the question.
Yeah. We can do the appointment if
And I
that's
guess,
appropriate.
so let me ask Marcia, as head lister and the amount of hours you're putting in, are the other two listers putting in enough hours that things are covered, or are you finding that it is necessary that things aren't getting covered and you need additional help?
No, the other two listers are putting in 0 time.
Okay. All right.
So everything falls, right now, everything falls on me.
All right.
And we're, you know, we've got March 1st coming up tomorrow. And everything has to be in by April 1st. So that's only 31 days.
Yeah, we may not be able to find someone in time. In the past, we have granted extensions for lodging the grand list. It looks like
Correct.
we may need to do that again.
Yeah, I think we may have to. I will, you know, I'll try to proceed with getting everything in on time, but we may have to have that extension. We did last year because of COVID and because of what was, you know, going on. But this year we may have to, you know, ask for that extension.
Okay, it's not unusual. We've done it in the
No,
past.
it's not. No.
Yeah, okay.
Is that it? Is that it, Marcia?
That's just about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Comments? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yep. Good night.
Thanks, Marcia.
You're welcome.
Can we maybe do this? Can we ask Bill to work with Marcia and come up with a possible ad? But we've got to know how many hours and what salary to offer, and we maybe put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
Well, what would be helpful, Mary, is maybe somebody to do the data entry. Business personal property is going to be coming in, And it would be helpful if I could have somebody just checking off the business personal property clients and hopefully working maybe with Gail to get the information into the system.
Okay. Well, that's the start. So,
I think just whatever ad we do, we're probably gonna want to state that, you know, it's a town resident.
Oh, absolutely.
it's that
Yes.
we're not filling the vacancy right now. That's the
No.
situation.
But
So
do we
Right.
try to look,
we
do we try to look that direction?
it would be good.
Try to solicit a town resident?
Yeah,
I think it would be
Yeah.
smart to
I think
cover our tracks.
to
that way.
advertise it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then you'd have,
Yeah. We've got,
Okay.
we've identified seven new businesses. And there probably are more out there that we don't know about. We are losing some businesses, but hopefully it'll even out between the new businesses and the ones moving out of the area.
Okay.
So if Marcia's done, I just going to excuse
Yep,
myself.
I'm done.
Okay.
Night, Marcia.
Good night.
I will see you in a
Good
couple weeks.
Okay.
we wish our colleague Karen the best, and she's got an upcoming surgery. She's going to be a limp wing warrior here for a couple of weeks while she has a shoulder totally replaced, and we wish her the best and of success and rehab.
All right. The other one?
Yeah. I'm okay with this. Don't you laugh. He's
It'll come around someday. It'll come around someday.
He was laughing at me.
I'll be wore out someday too.
Yeah.
Did he say I was worn out?
I say,
Would be.
I'll be wore out someday too.
He did
You've
say
got
too.
bigger bones. to wear out,
Yeah.
too. Oh, God. All right.
Laugh and your smile has added a lot of cheerfulness to this room, I can tell you that right
Yes,
now.
he's got a great laugh.
Take care,
I don't know.
Sharon.
Yeah,
who
thank
he was
you.
looking at what he said.
Thank you, thank you.
Barbara Pulling. Good evening, Barb.
Have a good night.
Our
Yes,
Planning
good evening.
Commission Chair.
Yes, yeah. Good evening. Godspeed, Sharon.
Thank
Hope all
you.
goes well.
Thank you.
From the Planning Commission, no news from GMP on the relicensing. So that means we really can't do much to go forward. And we can just keep hoping that no news is good news, right?
Well, I did see their ad in the paper. Did you read that?
No.
And they mentioned the pocket park as them not proceeding with developing the recreation area, but deeding the property over to the town so that we could. So you might want to read the ad in the paper.
What was the ad?
Proceeding. It's a public notice requirement that they have to do because of the relicensing. Yeah, I've grabbed it and I'm putting it in the file.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
it's
I didn't catch
interesting.
that.
That's great news, and it's kind of interesting that some of the back and forth that has been happening with FERC, the federal agency, was about earlier plans for a park there that apparently the town wasn't too hot on, and so FERC was just making sure. Are you sure the town of Rutland is still on board here? I think we've answered all those questions. For GMP and probably for the federal government now. So great. So maybe we can.
Well, we may want to revise the MOU, but we'll let them have the first whack at our draft that they have.
Yeah, they still have that. Okay. Bill is doing a lot of work on an ordinance for short-term rentals. And I was wondering, just to help get the word out and to explain why we think this is needed, if you would agree to the Planning Commission maybe holding a public hearing, which wouldn't be required, of course, for the Select Board passing an ordinance, but it could be used as part of the process of just rolling this out and getting the word out. So,
Would you be presenting an ordinance for the public hearing so that people could comment on it, or are you just going to talk about the idea at the public hearing?
could go either way. Yeah.
I would think you might want to have the actual ordinance so that people could comment on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if,
If things go well, I may have a fairly polished copy in a couple weeks.
Okay.
That would be good.
so yeah, maybe we could do something in April or May for the public. Okay. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the Planning Commission. I did want to talk about something as a resident off the East Pittsford Road. This is a safety kind of a situation, hazardous situation. There's not just speeding, but there's a lot of passing of vehicles on the road. And it doesn't matter what is happening weather-wise. It doesn't even matter if it's dark or light. I've been passed in the dark on the sharp curve near the soccer fields. I've been passed on icy roads on the sharp curve near Colonial Estates. And I'm not that slow of a driver, but it's just a persistent problem, and it seems to be getting worse. I'm just wondering if, as a resident, if we could get a little more coverage up there.
I'm getting a thumbs up from our police chief who's sitting in the back of the room.
Yeah, I've mentioned this to Chief Dumas, and when I go to work, there's even people passing me when the school bus is doing its route up East Pittsford Road. So there's kids out there, there's parents, there's kids who are about ready to cross the road to get on the bus. It's gotten really crazy. It's almost like the Wild West, that road. And it's like the drivers that are doing this don't see any, they don't think anything's going to happen to them. And I guess not much is, apparently.
Our first constable is here and taking it all in too.
Okay. Yeah, if you want any other information, I'd be glad to provide it.
Well, don't feel like the Lone Ranger, Barb, because this is happening all over, not only the town, but everywhere. I mean, our law enforcement is stretched so thin that, we'd look, hopefully they can get into the neighborhoods and on those secondary roads a little more now that we've got authorization and funding for them to do overtime work down in that retail area. So that's what the whole purpose of that is, to free them up to do more of the patrolling and the general patrolling that would catch these scofflaws on the road. And I agree with you. It really is. You can go down Route 7 right now. I travel it from McKinley Avenue down into the city and through the city, and you can be going pretty close to 40, which is 5 miles over, which most people say, well, I can get away with 5 miles over. If you're doing that, the cars are going by you like you're standing still. And I can estimate that they're doing at least close to 60 miles an hour going down Route 7. Big trucks, small trucks, cars, SUVs with drivers that are on a cell phone breezing by you at 55, 60 miles an hour. So it's awful, but it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a sign of the times.
Well, we'll try. We'll try to do our best, with the force that we have. So appreciate your input, though. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. And that's all I have this evening.
Anyone have any questions for Barb or comments? Thank you very much, Barb. Have a nice evening.
Okay, you too.
And our next report will be from our first constable, Mike Delehanty, who was also only slightly disabled tonight.
RoboCop.
Sure, and look at the camera when you
Trigger finger, isn't it? You shoot left-handed, I hope.
Yeah.
You should see the other guy. Though.
Yeah. Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mike.
Yeah, this was obviously not related to anything from a town function, but it'll sideline me for probably another week. But then we will absolutely get to East Pittsford Road and in that area. So stay tuned for that. But the one update I wanted to give actually was perfect timing with talking with hearing from Mr. Rowe, was I just signed up for my animal control officer certification.
Oh, good.
So it's a two-part. This is what would be an ACO 1, and then there's an ACO 2. The certification is 25 hours a piece, so 50 hours total. It's almost all online. So it's a sign of the times. So they're actually sending me the packet probably as we speak. So I'll get that going. So the timing for that'll actually be perfect for when we start having a deeper conversation about Northwood and things like that. But the certification comes through the National Animal Care and Control Association. So it's an accredited worldwide. So yeah, so I'm super excited about that. I actually just got a couple animal carriers donated to me, and I've got a bunch of leashes in my truck. Just getting ready for the times. The time is here. So but yeah, so that'll stay tuned for that. I'll keep you guys posted when that wraps up. So it'll be a couple months before the whole thing is completed, but then we'll move on to the ACO 2. But I think it's needed. It comes with my job description anyway. So
Glad we let you do.
yeah. So in conversation that Chief Dumas and I will have is anything that's non-emergency can be held for me. You know, if there's something obviously that needs to be done immediately and it comes through Lynn or through the state and they have to go take care of on the spot, then, and if I'm not working, then fine. But anything non-emergency, I'll gladly shag. And this training will give me everything I need to know to deal with any of these calls appropriately. So I'm
So
excited.
now that we know that you have those carriers,
yeah,
we can refer you to any illegal pumas, servals, leopards,
there it
or
is.
other illegally adopted animals that may be roaming around the town.
Whatever you need, whenever you need. So, but no, that's it. That's all I got.
So
Good.
what's the difference between 1 and 2?
It's probably not a lot. It's just 24 more hours, but no, I think they just probably dives a little bit more deeper into different tactics and training and stuff. But the same amount of time, same structures, same everything. But like I said, the ACO 1 it'll be good. So I'm excited about it. So, and we need it.
So how do you mesh with the pound keeper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meaning, how do I met?
I mean, you're going to be the enforcement arm. You pick up an animal, you take it to the pound keeper.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been in touch.
Oh yeah. So the way it works, so with the Humane Society, they actually have a separate building for anything after hours.
Okay.
Currently, I don't have a key to it, but the city does. So the ACO officer, Tim Jones, and I believe they might even have one in dispatch. They have a key to that building.
Okay.
What happens is if you do come across an animal after hours, you go up there, you bring it into the building. There's food, there's water, it's warm. You leave a note like literally on the door. So when they get there in the morning, they actually can see that there's a note or the piece of paper's hanging on the door. So they know that you've left an animal there after hours.
Okay.
So yeah, it's standard practice. So
Okay. Thank you.
that's it. Alrighty.
Good.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Have a good
Mike.
night, everybody.
Thank you.
soon.
And good rehab on those
Yeah.
fingers.
It's not another week.
They're still there, though.
Oh yeah, they're there.
That's the good thing.
Yes. Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
John Paul, I think,
He left.
he's left us and, that's all right. Kari Clark, our town clerk and treasurer. Good evening, Kari.
Good evening. The one and only reminder that I have for tonight really has been talked about already a little bit, is our election next week. It has been warned in several places. So this is just a reminder that it begins on Monday at the school. And we will hear reports for the town budget and the school budget at 7. And then we recess and the election portion of our town meeting begins the next day on Tuesday. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. that evening. So if you do have plans of voting, make sure to do so during polling hours. And if you do have an absentee ballot, make sure that the appropriate polling place has your absentee ballot before 7 p.m. on Tuesday. I'm anticipating a nice and smooth election. And so far the absentee ballots are very minimal. So we had authorization from the BCA to open absentee ballots with appropriate ballot clerks standing by for tabulators. And that date was going to be Monday. And from the amount of absentee ballots currently, we may not even need that this time around, but we'll see. We still have a little bit of time to go. But that was my only reminder for people that's happening right now. Yes, you can still call the office and ask for an absentee ballot. People ask me if it's still too late or if it's too late, and it's not. You're also welcome to come in and vote early if you would choose to do so. So that's about it for that. And I know that there's a liquor license in front of you, John, for Hannaford to be signed by the board. This is a renewal. And again, it's same kind of format as before.
I would move we approve the liquor the whatever the class of license for alcoholic beverages for Hannaford's. Our chief is indicating that they are okay. They haven't presented any problems for the police force.
Is that a fact, Ed? Okay, then
Second.
I'm just looking for the number.
Second,
Oh, there's nobody else to second it.
that's where I buy my food.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. That's where I get my stuff too.
I don't
Thumbs up
see
for
it
them.
here anywhere, Bill. Do you know where it is?
I think it's class 2.
No, it isn't. I've got, it's not in our regular packet,
No,
just the bridge standards and
Not
The
in your
pink-
packet. I
the-
don't know. It was put there separately.
Are you
Well,
looking for the actual paper? It has a sticky
Yes.
note that's a yellow note that has Hannaford written on it.
I just have the town road standards and a solid waste alliance communities thing in here. That's,
Yellow stick.
On the desk somewhere.
Not part of your packet. It wouldn't be in there.
oh, wait a minute. I was looking for the sign here thing, like not this huge yellow note that says Hannaford Foods. Is one signature all that's needed, Kari? No, I guess
So
we've all
far-
signed. Yeah,
Whichever
Should we
you
vote?
choose.
yes, we've had Did I hear a motion, Mary?
Yeah, I did, because I shopped there.
It's,
Yeah,
did I hear a
yeah, I
second?
seconded it.
So I heard a motion and a second. Is there voluminous discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Need something for after these meetings.
Nobody's opposed. So pick up your bonus. No, the bonus bag of candy, the Almond Joy, she prefers. There you go.
Cute.
Well, we'll have 3 signatures on it anyway. That's a quorum.
That'll be just fine, Don. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I like a pink Moscato, by the way, in case anyone's listening. No,
Too sweet.
no, but that's why I like it. You know,
Sweeten
I
you, sweeten
needed
you up.
sweetening
Yeah,
up.
okay.
It's like, good.
It's not
Yeah.
hard enough.
Huh?
That's not hard enough.
Well, I go for the Fireball then.
Oh, boy.
Is that it, Kari?
That's all I had tonight.
Thank you very much. And you have a nice rest of your evening.
You as well. Good night.
Good night.
Aye.
Ed Dumas has been waiting patiently here with about 47 pounds of equipment on him. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening. So first order of business, calls for service. We had 51 calls. No traffic stops this time. Only must be on vacation. If you notice that, I don't know if it's weather or persistence, in the southern end of town, our larcenies retail thefts have gone down significantly.
Say that again.
I said, I don't know if it's our presence or the weather, retail thefts have gone down in the southern end of town for right now.
We
I
will
would,
take
I
it.
would tend to attribute that to you guys.
Tax returns.
But yeah, yeah,
People got some tax returns, so they're spending instead of stealing.
yeah. Yeah, that's coming.
Yeah, that would do it.
I could say something, I get myself in trouble.
Don't do that.
I won't. The other thing I want to bring up is, Joe, I talked to Joe about this. You are still on, Joe?
I am.
In reference to the outside detail. I know that we don't get overtime for working, if we book off sick or if we have a vacation day, we don't get overtime if we have to work overtime. But the southern end of town is an outside detail. That's where we mark it on the thing. It's kind of like it's for the town, but it's a separate pool money not attached to our budget. We have guys that Teddy and Angie mostly, they've worked and then issues where they got sick, and then they don't get overtime. They get it added onto the regular time and rather than getting the overtime. Does that make sense?
What
What happens if we work, we have an 80-hour pay week. Let's say in the 80-hour pay week, I work 20 hours overtime, and all of a sudden, the last 2 days, I get the bug and I puke for 2 days. I lose 12 or 16 of those hours of overtime I've worked outside detail at the plot work in the southern end of town and get 2 hours overtime. The rest comes out of just go into my straight time, and they won't use any of my sick time.
No, what you're asking is, would it be possible that overtime be rated separately from the 40-hour requirement?
Outside detail overtime, kind of like Omnia was.
Right,
was outside detail.
And that's what we authorized when we authorized that account. That special fund was for overtime and or special officer duty. And that would categorize it as
outside
detail. Yes, so that's
I'm
my
asking
intention.
I guess what I'm asking is there any way we can rectify that? So if they're working above and beyond, and something happens, they book off, can they still get the overtime rather than get it I'll go to straight time?
No, they can get the overtime.
We just need to make sure we're complying with
State regulations.
state and federal
Right.
on overtime.
So,
You check that out
yeah.
as long as you're in
So
compliance.
I've been told by the staff here that if you book off sick or you take annual leave, you're in the same time you work extra hours, that just comes out of you have to take less sick time or less annual leave because you worked overtime. I'm saying this is a separate entity outside my regular budget. It's outside detail that we volunteered to do. Why should they, if something happens, should they not still get their overtime and take the money out of their?
Is it in your authority to classify this as an outside detail?
It is an outside detail. The money comes from the outside.
I
It's a
didn't ask
separate
you, I didn't ask you that.
I'm-
I'm asking you, is it in your authority to designate it an outside detail?
I am not sure. If you want to give me that authority, I will gladly say yes.
Well,
But I don't want to.
no.
I've not been told. I've been schooled by Susan and Kari that we operate under the state rules of how they do things, how they run municipalities, and that's the way they do it.
If it's within your authority and you designated an outside detail, then it doesn't fall under the category of regular hours for purposes of anything, including our leave time and whatever.
I think if you folks voted on it with a yay or an nay, then I would be able to go to the town clerk and treasurer, tell them this is what they voted on because it's an outside detail, not regular overtime, but outside detail. Then we could continue to get the overtime, even though if something happens, I know a lot of people have children and whatnot, they get sick, so they have to take time off to take care of their children and whatnot. So
Yeah,
that's why.
essentially it's overtime outside of regular work hours.
Well, yeah, and
Which other municipalities do.
Right.
what,
But that time that they're getting, the money's paying for this are not, taxpayer dollars. This is being funded out of the negotiations we made down there. And this is an entire, I find some of this logic, very concerning, that a guy works overtime and then his kids get sick and so he has to use the overtime to take a day off, basically, is what they're saying. But the special details on the Green Mountain Plaza and that whole southern thing is above and beyond the regular work schedule. And I don't believe that should fall under the same rules, because the board has authorized Chief Dumas to have these officers, both our constables and his regular police force, to do these patrols. And we are paying for those with non-taxpayer dollars, and they should not be penalized, and lose their overtime. I mean, there's no incentive for those guys to go down there after working their normal shift and then work this extra time that comes out of a different amount of, it's special detail patrolling, and it comes out of a different fund. So they should be entitled to it and not lose it. I mean, there's no incentive for these guys to go to work those extra hours if they're going to get penalized if they lose it. So I support what Ed's doing or asking for. There has to be a separation between the regular hours that are covered under a town budget and how that works and how taxpayer funds are being spent. But when you get into the special detail, I don't believe those same rules apply, because it's not taxpayer dollars. This is a special fund providing additional coverage for that situation down there. So I don't know if we have to vote on this or if we have to find some other means, but I don't think our guys and girls should be penalized or lose that.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I think I'm assuming that we already authorized it, but what the chief is asking for is a clarification, and I think it would be clarified by a motion. If you wanted to make it, Joe, that would be appropriate. And the motion would be to authorize the expenditure of those funds for overtime as an outside detail.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
A quick question for Kari, if she's on.
Kari, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, does that help? Would that clarify how you process the pay for the police department?
Oh, I completely follow what's happening.
Okay.
Whether or not that's the whole whole law under payroll is another thing. But you guys, I think, do your own thing with select board approval. So I guess I just do what you tell me to do.
Well, you're getting some guidance from elsewhere. Are we doing something incorrectly?
All I really understand is what we've been doing. So if you are taking your vacation or your sick time, you're technically not working overtime, no matter who you are. But I really don't want to argue something against a department that's trying to help us out. So if you guys are authorizing this, then we'll follow what you're asking.
Kari, there may be some data to back up what Ed is saying, because back in the day, I don't know, Mary, do you remember how many years back it was? They did the OMU patrols. That was considered outside duty. So in other words, when our officers are on vacation, and I think this would apply here as well, Ed. Let's take it as an example. If the officer is on a regularly scheduled vacation that he or she is entitled to under our policies in the town, and they wanted to work the OMU patrol, it was an outside duty, essentially scheduled at their convenience, and they worked that duty separately from their position as a Rutland Town police officer. And they were paid for that.
So they were paid for vacation time and the overtime on the Omnia patrol? Is that
well,
what
I don't know whether that
discussed here?
It was a higher rate of pay than what Ted was getting at the time. This is when I worked in the city, so
Yeah.
we went under union contracts.
Yeah.
And we negotiated this stuff with the city. If you worked, 40 hours overtime in 2-week period, and you got sick the last day, they took a sick time from you. That's accrued time you have off too. You still get the sick time off, and you got your overtime. What's happening here is, even if you worked overtime and you got sick, you put in for sick time, or then now you're missing 2 days of work, but if you're getting paid straight time for those extra hours work, you put in your 10-12 hour day. Now you're putting another 5 or 6 hours on top of that. And because you got sick or tired from the last working so many hours, now you've lost it because you're not there.
So if we treated this like two separate employers,
Right.
that would solve your problem.
If it would solve mine, it's a separate pool of money. I'm not asking.
It's time outside of regular work hours.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
It is.
So they're working their regular 40 hours a week, and they're doing this, wherever it comes into that weekly schedule, it's still outside the regular
We
duties.
even have a section
So
where
they
it
get
says
paid
outside job.
Yeah.
So
they get paid as
so
overtime.
that, can I interrupt for a second? So
oh, sure, anytime.
well, would that mean that we're paying an overtime rate, or are we going to designate an actual rate for all the outside detail patrol?
I guess that's my question. If we designated a separate rate for the outside patrol that we control, this is the south end of town patrol, that would avoid the problem with overtime, right?
That would make sense, because overtime is strictly overtime, like it's time and a half.
So Ed, I got a question.
Outside job, we get paid at overtime.
Yeah, or you get paid at 1.5 times your regular rate.
Right.
Yeah, it's
But it's money, that would be monies coming out of non-taxpayer funds, but you get paid the extra Right. So I think that if we authorize that, then they don't get penalized and lose it if they need to take a day off because their kids are sick. They shouldn't lose that extra time because, you know, if they were working a 40-hour week and then had to work 5 hours of overtime doing their regular job, I believe that's a different situation. Am I correct, Ed?
Yeah, I think, yes.
That's, yeah, it's, you know, or yourself or any, but if you had to work, you know, you're investigating some case and you're working an extra, you know, 5-6 hours in that 40-hour week, and then you get jammed up and you have to take a day off, then you would, I understand that somehow or other it's okay to lose overtime. I still can't wrap my head around that, but, but this is not regular duty overtime. This is overtime for a special duty that's been authorized by the chief and approved by the select board to do.
So, okay.
So do we motion?
Well, Joey made the motion, you seconded it, so I guess we're set.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 And the motion carries and you just proceed forward.
Thank you.
And I think that's what we intended originally anyway. So now we've clarified it. And
One other thing, what about the time that my officers have lost working overtime in the past? Do you want to address that at all or no?
what are you talking about?
We're recouping back to November.
It would be a headache on it.
I think it would be.
Yeah. I don't know as we can make this retroactive.
Okay.
I don't think it
My
would
bad.
be appreciated by anyone except the officers. But I wanted to add for your benefit and the town's benefit and Kari's benefit that Mr. Gudapelli will be in tomorrow with his third payment. Kari has the other two checks and she's going to be depositing them when he comes in tomorrow with the 7,200. That will be almost around $18,000 of deposit into that account. Well, into our account, but credited to the special account. Just so you know.
I know when we're down there, the people appreciate it. I only caution people now who go to the plaza or down to the Greenland Plaza. If you have something that looks like a purse, don't leave it on your front seat. If it's your lunch bag, this happened. A lady, I think they have tools where you just touch the window and it kind of, it'll crack the glass. They reached in and stole her lunch bag. Nothing of any value, but the window cost her over $400.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is just nothing in your car that looks like it's valuable. Put it in the trunk or don't take it all with you. So that's all I have to say there. I think that's all I have at this point in time.
They haven't stolen the bales of hay out of the back of my car, so I'm good.
If you throw a chainsaw between them, they might consider it.
I got you.
Probably your hay, you're probably good.
I have a cap on my truck and the cap is never locked and there's 3 5-gallon buckets of sand that I pilfered from our local landfill and none of them have been touched either.
Amazing.
It's kind of hard to run away with a
Now I know where to get sand, eh?
Okay, any other questions for Ed? Thank you, Ed. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Ed.
Let's see. Bill Sweet is our town administrator, and he is next up. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening. All right. Not much left. Perfect. couple of things from the packet. One is your letter you referenced earlier, and the other is our annual reappointment to the Solid
SWAC.
Waste Alliance Committee. Larry and Bill have both said they are more than happy to continue in their roles. You have the original there. If you so inclined, just sign. There's actually 4 lines at the bottom there. Just sign the 4 lines. Just find on those lines, and I'll take care of filling in all the rest of their
Okay,
information.
so I would move that we approve Larry Delvenary and Bill Bauer as our
SWAC.
SWAC
People.
point person and alternate.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to reappoint our town solid waste alliance communities members, Larry Delvenary and Bill Bauer. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
That's a unanimous vote, and I will circulate it right now for signature.
Right, thank you. So that takes care of the packet. While that's going around. Yeah, everybody got those. I'm not really sure why I sent to everybody, but they did.
What the hey? We can't now access it unless we have a special separate password.
Well, apparently.
Well,
That's
let's
all
register our
odd.
protest for that. That is information that's really valuable and people
It's
should be able to
interesting.
get at it.
Oh.
I'm referring to the League of Cities and Towns. We're now going to be under our own separate password to get information that we need to run the town.
So things like policy documents things that have been online, like there's been a portal for that for a while, but this is kind of like the next step. But yeah.
Well,
You need something you're just
there tends to be a whole ream of micromanagement that's going on right now up in our legislature.
Well, League of Cities and Towns has nothing to do with the legislature.
Well,
I mean, they have a presence there, but
Yes.
they're not the legislature.
On your desks was one item for me. I had done the review I got from the city, did the review of the sewer allocation to actual usage, and we had one property that was over for the whole year, so that was pretty good. And I sent them a letter, and they sent back their application with a check. So this is for Woolnick Properties on Seward Road. They are applying to increase their allocation to match their usage.
Okay, I would move we approve.
Motion's made to approve the water and sewer application for Woolnick Properties. Any discussion on a motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved.
Thank you. Nothing you need to sign, nothing you need to do. Just, that was it.
That's it.
That's it. So for the delinquent tax collector vacancy, only the one letter of interest so far. There are still a few days left in order for till they're due by letters of interest are due by Friday, March 10th. And they're to be sent here, and that's been posted around. And the offer of the trees for Northwood Park was to be any interest to be submitted by March 9th. We do not have any yet.
Okay, I saw the notice out here.
Yep,
Thank you for doing that.
They're around in various places. So nothing on that yet, but that's still out there.
Good.
The online, the electronic copy of our town report was sent to us today along with the bill. So I actually made an update to the website. On the homepage, there's a link to this current town report, but under government, under general information now, there's a page for town reports, and all the ones we have electronic copies of are now on there. So you can go back for 5 or 6 years and they're all on there. So
What was I looking for the other day and I couldn't find it?
the town plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some other changes. There's some substantive behind the scenes changes that we kind of need to do, but I'm out of money to do it. So we spent all our money this year for website work. So but come June, I'm gonna turn them loose and get them working on it. So, but there's some things we are gonna update on there. That being one of them, making some of those things a little more user friendly. The changes we made are working out well. We just got to make a few more. When we looked at redesigning the website, when I got some of those quotes that were like $13,000 to $20,000, that was a lot of money. So we went with we're going to go with this route, which just takes a little longer, but we kind of roll them in. So the town plan is one it's just finding some of those informational things and bringing them together into a usable space and making it a little easier to find is certainly important. So yeah, that's on the list. I'm not sure where else to put it at this point, but I'm working on a better page for some of those things to all come together. So I think I got a bunch of notes from stuff from to do for here, but that's all I got. Not much for tonight.
Any questions from the board to?
Yeah, we had sent the ACLU letter and to our town attorney to take a look at. Did we hear back from him? I know he's probably swamped with town.
I've not heard yet.
Okay.
I did follow up with the ACLU to tell them, and they said thank you.
Okay.
So
right.
They acknowledged that we've sent it, and that's where we're at.
Thanks.
And that was the last conversation that I had with the ECLU person, was that our lawyer was going to look it over, and
they shouldn't talk with you anymore. They should be talking with our attorney now.
yeah,
So
that's good.
we're good. We're good.
So there you go.
That's it.
Any other questions? Thanks, Bill.
Sure.
Committee meeting updates, any others, or scheduled meetings to schedule? So our next meeting will be Monday night. Sharon will not. Sharon will not be joining us Monday evening, and I agreed with Sharon and Mike to give the recreation report. We need somebody to give the fire report, and I was wondering if you would be willing to do that, Kurt.
Yeah.
Are you doing the rec report then?
I'll do the rec report, and then and you and I will share general. I would. Now, I was wondering, well, if we're going to do a presentation on the public service building, what do you feel would be appropriate?
Well, when we did it at pre-town meeting, we had JP do it. It was very brief. Now there's a little more to it, but so he should be involved, I would think.
That probably won't be able to happen, Mary, unless, because, JP is, if the meeting is not going to be virtual, then we wouldn't be able to do that. Because I don't believe he can attend in person.
Right.
I think that one of the things that we need to do at that meeting is be prepared to answer questions. I think, there's some information out there, and I think there's going to be a number of questions about, what our financial arrangements or the plans that we kind of laid out tonight. But I think that'll be the thing is the disappointing part of this is if no more people show up than they did a month ago, I'm going to, that's kind of sad as to the whole town government process that people just don't come out for this. So I think we just should be prepared to answer questions.
You're going to be there, so you could do the numbers part as you did tonight, right?
Yeah, I plan on being there. I don't foresee any obstacles at this point.
Okay.
I would do a quick overview of, what the process has been with the bids, obviously, and and
this is
and a general statement of support, but I don't know how much detail we want to go into. You got the numbers, and to let the people know that we will be scheduling another meeting and that we would encourage anyone that has questions or comments about the project to bring them forward, contact us and whatever.
Yeah.
Further than
I
that,
think that,
the reason,
you know-
Joe, I agree with you because ever since we've gone to Australian ballot, it's been a steady stream of 20 to 32 people, maybe less than that at times. And that's pretty sad, but I think,
you know, when I made the comment, you know, Don, if you remember at the pre-meeting back in January, I made the comment that in the future, or that should be a goal of the board going forward, is to figure out a way to do these meetings virtually as well as in person. So, you know, the school is not the best site for that. So we will need to be working in some direction to make that, because I do know, based on, I believe if we could go back and look at the attendance for last year and the year before when we did it virtually, a lot more people will participate if they don't have to leave their house. So, you know, we aren't going to get that done in a week. So we'll bear with it this year, but that should be one of our goals, is to work on that. And from my perspective, that would be part of the renovations of the downstairs, is that we would be able to hold these town meetings in the downstairs and have the Zoom capability or the, you know, that type of capability there. So just something to work toward.
but for this year, Joe, I agree with you that we won't get the attendance, but the fact of the matter is that if it's brought up and it's discussed at the meeting, the chances of it being in the newspaper are pretty good.
Right. And you know, I think we've got a fairly good plan, and we do plan on having, you know, we need to have a public information meeting and explain to more people than we're listening tonight that, you know, this is why we find ourselves in this position, and the board has, you know, taken this direction, and this is why, and we're looking for support. And then once we get this, we're going to have to figure out when we're going back to the voters, and it's got to be sooner rather than later, and, you know, get this done. And there's going to be a warning period and that whole time frame and stuff that has to be typed up. So there's a lot to be done in probably the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
Well, have
so
your
anyway,
numbers.
Yeah.
Have your numbers
Yep.
ready, Joe, and
Yep.
hopefully we'll have a few people there, extra people, town meeting, but
Yep. Well, we got, you know, we're making noise about it, and we're encouraging people to show up, and, you know, I hope they do. That's what this is about, so they can hear both sides of the plan. I mean, there's always the pros and cons, and move forward and let people, you know that what we're doing. And I don't think we've, you know, tried to mask anything or, you know, pretend like, you know, this isn't a serious situation. So, you know, we'll have to do our best to, you know, educate everyone as to how we got here. And, you know, it's through nobody's fault. It's just how it worked out this time around.
Yep. Agreed.
I don't know if we have anything left on the agenda, Don, but I did have one question about our time frame for appointing the delinquent tax collector. If that is going to be done at a regular next meeting, you know, we would look at applicants, and if we are going to do interviews, or how we're going to proceed forward with that from here. Is there any thought given to that?
It was already stated at previous meetings that the board wanted to interview any candidates for the position, and that they intended to make a decision on the 14th so that the person that was selected could meet with Jim Schultz, who has agreed to offer any assistance possible before his actual resignation takes place on March 31st. So.
Okay, so we will be doing that at the next meeting.
I would assume that's what the board would carry through with, but that'll be a board decision.
Okay. Just,
That
we
answer
get the
your
word out there. So I just want to get the word out that anybody that's interested, if they get their letter of intent in to us on time, that they are prepared to, be there for that meeting.
Yeah, they would, if they get their letter in, then they would be interviewed by the board. I would think the board would set up interview schedule with any candidates.
And in the past, I think we've been fairly flexible about trying to interview.
Yep.
At times that work for the candidates.
Yep.
So that be that. That answer your question, Joe?
Yeah, it does.
So that's the way we go.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
I don't hear any nays.
Not bad.